Welcome back to another episode of Eat Like a Chef. I'm your host, Chandler Baird. Today we are in downtown Spokane at Cochinito Taqueria, which if you've been here, you know this is the place to get tacos in town. Let's head inside and see what Chef Travis is cooking up for us.
Sponsored by Novi Brewhouse, 100% family-owned, rooted in community.
Hey Chandler,
Hi,
welcome to Cochinito.
Thank you. What are we making today?
We're gonna do a taco with house ground chorizo, a little delicata squash, some seared Brussels sprouts, and a fun little salsa called Corizo Taco that I'll show you how to make.
Okay, you're gonna show us your secret.
It'll be fun, let's get back there.
Let's go.
So we're gonna start with making some fresh tortillas. Kind of the backbone of everything that we do here. But it starts with a really simple little masa flour mix. We use kind of a custom blend here. Keep the towel over to keep it nice and wet.
Okay.
If you can use a store-bought masa, just follow the directions on the package. Won't quite be what we're dealing with here, but fairly similar.
Where did you come up with this recipe?
This is one that was just trial and error, using a few different products to find a blend that we like that both makes like a pliable tortilla, but has a lot of that kind of fresh corn flavor. So we use just a home-style tortilla press, Ziploc bag cut in half to keep it from sticking. It's just a quick peel off, give them some time on the griddle.
Okay.
We'll get a couple going while we're waiting for that guy, but we're gonna go about 45 seconds on the first side, give it a nice flip, and then a lot of the cooking of this is actually gonna happen as it steams in this little towel with its fins over here, so.
Amazing. Wow.
So I wait for them to start to puff up. You can start to see these little air pockets come in there as the water cooks out.
Awesome. This is one of the things that really sets you guys apart. I think you're one of the only people in town that makes your own tortillas.
I think so, and it's a labor of love. I mean, there's days where we make 2,500 of them, just one at a time on that hand press. So some days, one poor guy's back here just getting really strong in one arm. The salsa we're making today is called Corizo Taco. It's a Yucatan salsa. It's almost like a pumpkin seed hummus with a little bit of warm spice, get some heat from some habanero. Great, kind of seasonal thing for this type of year. Also, something pretty easy to make at home.
Cool.
We're going to start really quickly by just toasting some cinnamon. For this recipe, I've got one cinnamon stick that I've just kind of beat up with the bottom of a pot, broken it up a little.
Okay.
We're not going to go too crazy with that. Just kind of toast it until it's slightly fragrant. So once we get just the first wisps of smoke on that, we're going to move it over into a spice grinder, take it and grind it up.
Wow.
For the magic of television. I already got that done over here, so we'll set that with the rest of our ingredients. Second piece of that, and I'll actually use that same pan, because why not? It's already got all that flavor in there.
Absolutely.
We're going to kind of lightly saute some onions, some garlic, and a little habanero chilies.
Okay.
So let that pan kind of get hot again. So I think we can move this stuff over into our blender, and the rest of the ingredients I've kind of gotten up and ready ahead of time for us here. From here, it's just a fun little blend and making a paste. And then you're just kind of looking for almost a hummus-like consistency, which is what I kind of compare this to. It's like a warm pumpkin seed hummus. And that's what you're looking for. So
beautiful.
Fairly chunky, but I mean, mostly smoothed out. So we're gonna make the filling for our taco now.
Okay.
Got a little bit of our secret recipe chili and garlic infused oil here. We use that for both the starting oil for a lot of things and kind of a finishing oil. House ground chorizo sausage. All the sausages and things that we use here are ground in-house. So we're going to get this a nice brown. We want to kind of break it up as it's cooking, or as it starts cooking rather.
Okay. And we were talking earlier, so most of your recipes here take a really long time to create every piece of.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of a quicker one that we can make at home.
Kind of a quicker recipe. That's always the challenge with these, is finding things that don't have a sauce that cooks for hours or slow braised meat.
Right.
A lot of the love in what we do kind of comes in that prep side, and it's also why we're able to kind of get the food out so fast on a busy night, is because we
prepped it
We
all.
put all that love in early, and then we're
Yes.
just ready to go when it's time. So you're gonna get a little color on this. We want to keep all that fat in the pan because that's going to flavor our Brussels sprouts and our squash when we get them in there.
Okay.
We'll actually get this nice and brown. I like to let it kind of just sit in a nice layer like that, caramelize on one side, then do our best to just kind of flip it all at once so you get kind of a nice crust on there.
Cool.
Just kind of keep breaking it up without really stirring it around. So we're going to pull out the meat with the slotted spoon here, leave a little bit of that beautiful fat in there. We're going to get this back on and get a little color on our Brussels sprouts. We won't need all these, but again, I'm going to go in a nice single layer, and I want to get a little brown on these, a little caramelization and color.
Okay.
For the squash, we're using that delicata squash, one of my favorites because the skin's edible. Actually adds a nice little contrast in the bite to it. You get a little something toothsome in there.
A little more fiber, probably.
Yeah, it keeps all those vitamins and all the good stuff in there too. That I pre-roasted, so I just sliced it up, tossed in a little olive oil, salt, some of our house chili rub, which is a nice blend that Spiceology makes for us.
Amazing. We love them.
Put a little of that in the Brussels sprouts as well. And that stuff, yeah, it goes on just about everything here. So luckily they let me order 1,100 pounds of it or something fun like that. So throwing about an equal amount of that squash, again, pre-roasted, so it's ready to go. We're just kind of warming it up and letting everything come together flavor-wise. Once we get to the point where it's got a nice little brown color on those Brussels sprouts, squash is getting warm. I'm going to deglaze with just a bit of sherry. Deglazing a pan just pulls all those leftover spices, things that are stuck to the pan off of it.
Okay.
Adds a nice nutty flavor from that sherry that fits well with kind of that fall seasonal vibe that we got going on here. We're going to start with one of those tortillas that we made.
Okay.
Spoon in a bit of that Seco Pak salsa. A little goes a long way, but we'll give it a nice little spread right down the center. Take a nice pair of tongs for fancy plating, and we're just going to lay some of that right down in there.
Beautiful. That's another thing I love about your tacos. They're loaded. Like, you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah, and because we make the tortillas on our own, they're pretty substantial. You see a lot of places with that double store-bought tortilla thing because theirs don't hold up to all the fun stuff.
We don't want
Ours
that.
are pretty hearty, so we tell people, they're not your average street taco. 2 or 3 of them will start to fill you up quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So. A little bit of cotija cheese.
Always.
Nice crumbly, salty goodness. Touch of cilantro on top. We have some candied pumpkin seeds. We candy these in-house with a little glucose, some Aleppo chili, some turbinado sugar. Adds a nice little crunch and sweetness. Got some micro radish greens from our friends at Well Grown Farms.
Love that. Local.
And that's a taco.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we're not going to wait much longer before we dig into this. Join us after the commercial for more recipes with me and Adam. I'm at Cochinito Taqueria again, looking around for Adam. I can't find. Whoa, Adam!
I'm here.
You have arrived. Made your grand entrance. Awesome. What are we making?
We're gonna make some Latin-inspired food here at Cochinito.
Let's do it. Adam's gonna show us how to make some ceviche.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so first we're gonna start off by making our liquid. I'm gonna have you put a little bit of celery in there.
All right, I can handle that.
Celery's a little bit of a strange thing, but it's like very traditional in Peruvian ceviche. A little bit of onions.
Is that like half an onion-ish?
Yeah, it's like half an onion. A little bit of salt, it's good. A little bit of cumin. A little bit of chili powder. A little bit of sugar, just a touch, it's good. And we're gonna squeeze these guys.
What's the purpose of rolling it?
Just so it breaks the fruit up a little bit. You can microwave them for like 10 seconds too, and that helps kind of explode the cells, and it makes it a little bit easier for squeezing.
Explode the cells.
Yeah, each one's like a little cell in there.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
And I like to be able to use fresh lemon and lime juice, and it makes it like
Oh,
a pretty big difference when you're making ceviche, especially when you're going to be eating it like pretty soon after preparing it. Okay. And then the same with this one. We'll save that one for our mayo.
Okay. Ceviche is kind of intimidating. I'm really glad you're teaching us how to do this.
It's actually really simple, and all it is it's just taking citrus essentially. Oops, got you again.
Love it.
You should get used to that. But being able to add the citrus essentially marinates the fish, and that's helping give it a little bit of a cooked texture too.
Okay. Does it kind of like cure it?
It doesn't cure it necessarily. It just helps give it that. It firms it up a little bit.
Okay.
But it does sort of cure it because you have salt, sugar, acid in there. Just mix that up, and then this will be our liquid for the ceviche.
Okay.
Obviously, pretty simple. Oh, almost forgot. The pepper. Okay. Just cutting off the end. And then I just want to get the seeds out of there because I don't want it to be too spicy.
Right.
So you just cut the end off, lay it pretty flat, push your knife kind of hard against it, and just cut out that inside. That's the spiciest part of the pepper.
Okay. So instead of just getting the seeds, you also want to get that little layer.
Yeah, the little bit of white. And if you like it, you can keep the seeds in there. And
Do you want it hot?
Yeah, that membrane. So that's like the spiciest part of the pepper. Okay, give that a little stir, and then I'm gonna cut the fish up.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a rockfish fillet. You can use really anything. If the fish has been frozen ahead of time, basically that's gonna kill any kind of parasite or anything that's in there.
Okay.
Or you can use really fresh fish too. So it's kind of both. This fish has been frozen before. We live in the inland area, and so like getting fish that's frozen on the boat, and then thawed out is like gonna be our freshest option.
Yes.
So there is a little layer of bones on here, like
Okay.
right here. You can kind of see that. And all I'm gonna do is cut those
yeah.
out. And so you just you can feel the bones when you're cutting along, and you just let your knife, you don't want to push too hard because it'll just kind of show you where the bones are.
Oh, wow.
And then you just kind of do the same thing on this side. And just getting rid of that so you don't have any hard bits on your ceviche.
Yes.
And since this is all kind of one layer, I'm just gonna kind of cut it that same shape. I just want even pieces. Go ahead and cut this other one up as well. And see, this one you can see the bones a little better. They
Yeah.
kind of go like this. And I'm just gonna cut along there, just cut those bones out. You can pull them out with a knife, with pliers, but these, on the rockfish, they're a little bit more difficult. On some of the fishes that are a little bit smaller, they are harder to get out, and it'll just rip the fish apart.
Okay.
I find that it makes a little bit nicer looking fillet if you just cut them out.
Yeah. What's your favorite fish to make for ceviche to use?
I like rockfish.
Rockfish,
Or
okay.
I love scallops and shrimp as well. I think they have like a really good texture to them.
Yeah. And
The
there are
rockfish
some...
has like a little bit of a sweet flavor to it, but it also has like that sort of seafoody, like you can smell it. It smells like the ocean.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like,
It's not fishy, though.
not
It's-
fishy,
No,
but it
yeah.
smells like the ocean.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, and then we're gonna make a little bit of lime mayo. This one's super easy, so it's just squeezing that lime
Okay.
into the mayo. A little bit of salt, a little bit of chili powder, just a tiny bit, and that's it. And really, you don't have to use mayo, obviously. I just kind of like to add that little bit of a creaminess, so you have like the really tart citrus in obviously the ceviche liquid in the ceviche.
Yeah.
And then the combination of that fattiness like has like this really lean tart with the creaminess of the mayonnaise. And then we're gonna add a little popcorn for crunchiness, a little bit more pickled onions, and a little
Okay.
cilantro for zest.
Awesome. I like the mentality of like if you need to decide between mayo or not mayo, always add mayo.
Always that mayo.
Always.
I mean, you can do like lower fat versions. You could do like a Greek yogurt version or something, or
Or you
something
could
with sour
do
cream. Or you could do mayo if you want something really delicious.
Yeah.
Okay, just put a little on the edge there.
Wow. I like that because then you can just kind of choose how much. It
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
get oversaturated.
Okay. And a little bit of our pickled red onions. These are a really easy pickle. Basically what it is a little red wine vinegar, salt, and sugar. And again, I kind of layer it so that you get to choose like
Yes.
how you want to eat it.
Amazing.
Take a little cilantro. Again, we're just gonna do a really quick, easy roll chop on that. So just kind of roll it up.
We know all these new tricks now.
Yeah.
Making our life so easy. Beautiful.
And then
Can't
a little
forget
bit
the
of our
popcorn.
popcorn. I really love the flavor of the popcorn with the ceviche. I think like it brings out a little bit of nuttiness in the fish. The fish naturally has that sort of nuttiness to it, and I think eating it all together is really good.
For sure. Is this just regular? It looks like it's cheddar, maybe?
It's cheddar popcorn.
Love
And
to
that's
see
it.
that.
You want to try it?
Of course I do.
All right, let's
Beautiful.
do it.
Thank you so much. Join us after the commercial for another recipe.
So now we're going to talk about honing our knife. After cutting a bunch of things, basically what happens is your blade is like this and it kind of frays out a little bit.
Okay.
And so what using a steel does is it kind of takes those pieces and kind of sharpens those back up and polishes them back together.
Okay.
And so the idea here is that you want to hold this straight up and down so you can see the angle. What we're shooting for is 22 degrees. So this is a 90 degree, half is 45, half that's 22-ish.
Ish.
And so what I'm trying to do is I'm watching that angle the whole way down.
Wow.
And you want to go from the very base of the knife to the very tip as even pressure as possible and as even strokes on each side. Kind of see it on TV where people do, kind of this action.
Yeah.
But I think having it up and down is a little bit safer. And number two, you can see that angle exactly. You can see exactly what the knife is doing. And just take your time with it. You don't need to go fast a bunch of times. Just eat it a few times, very good. Welcome back to Eat Like a Chef TV. I'm joined by the wonderful Ginger from Terrain at Cochinito. And we're gonna make a pan seared beef tostada with a little bit of dry chili salsa, some pickled chilies, and a little bit of pickled onions. We're gonna start off by making our jalapenos first.
Okay.
Sweet pickled chilies. Okay, so
Thank
first.
you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Okay, so first we're gonna start with apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
Just pour about half that in there.
All right.
And then all the white vinegar.
Okay.
Maybe a quarter of that lime juice.
Sweet.
And really what we're doing is just making like a really simple pickle.
Okay.
This has like a little bit of acid and a little bit of sugar and salt, which makes the chilies kind of pop a little bit, but it also adds a little sweetness to it.
Okay.
Star anise.
The
star.
the whole thing?
The whole thing.
All right.
The bay leaves.
Okay, all of them?
Yep.
Sweet.
And then maybe a couple pinches of salt.
Okay.
And that kind of just makes the flavor pop a little
Getting
bit.
a little fancy with you.
Yep, and that creates the pickle, that sugar.
Okay.
And really just kind of balance out that sweet and sour, and then a little bit of chili flake, just a pinch of that.
Okay.
And then we're gonna put this on the burner
Perfect.
and just we're gonna let all of the sugar dissolve, the salt dissolve, and kind of bring it all to a simmer, and it's gonna help cook the pickles. So then I'm just gonna slice these on the mandolin.
Okay.
Mandolin we use for a lot of stuff. It's like makes prep jobs so much easier.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put these all in the bowl. And again, after cutting these jalapenos, don't want to rub your eyes. They will leave a little bit of spiciness in there.
Smells delicious.
Okay, so now it's just simmering. I'm gonna turn the heat off. And all we're gonna do is pour the liquid over top and try and make sure we're covering all of those.
Okay. Nice.
Just making sure they're all in the liquid. Okay, so next up we're gonna pan sear our beef. I'm gonna turn my burner back on.
Is that a particular cut?
This is filet.
Okay,
Filet mignon,
nice.
only the best for you.
Man after my own heart. Nice.
So this is a very tender cut. Really, you can use skirt steak, New York. You can really use anything, any cut you like.
And you let it rest
Yeah,
into
you
room
gotta let it rest a
temperature?
little bit.
Okay.
So basically, when you're searing it, all of the moisture is gonna go to the center. So it's
Okay.
like kind of tightening up and forcing everything in the center. So when you're resting it, it kind of lets it go back out again.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
So I'm gonna add a little oil. So tell us about Terrain.
So Terrain is a arts nonprofit here in town. We started about 13 years ago as a one-night annual event, and we've grown to do kind of a myriad of different things around town. So we have a permanent gallery space,
A little bit underground at the beginning.
a little bit underground, and still like to be underground,
Yeah.
that have grown pretty tremendously. So that flagship event that we started out with, we did last year, featured 274 artists. 13,000 people come through.
A lot of awesome art.
In a single evening. We also have a gallery, Space Train Gallery. We have a storefront called From Here, which is just a couple of blocks at River Park
Close to
Square.
here.
It's close to here. That features 91 artists and makers, local artists and makers. We have a professional development program for artists called Creative Enterprise. We do a vacant storefront program called Window Dressing that does site-specific art installations.
Yeah, we did some really neat stuff
Yeah.
around town. Yeah.
We do special projects like we did the big Black Lives Matter mural over the summer. So just a little bit of everything to kind of help artists and creative businesses along in their career.
Yeah, I think it's been really key to helping build a culture here in the community and creating a culture and identity for Spokane. I think that's what I've talked about as well. Is like, how do we create like a regional identity? And it's through people that live here and do stuff
Absolutely.
here, and being able to showcase that.
Absolutely.
I think you guys do a great job of that.
Well, thank you. And you know, art and creativity is the heart and soul of our city. We define art really broadly, so food is definitely a big part of that. It's the experience against the heart and the soul
Yeah.
of a city.
Okay, so now I'm just gonna flip it over really
Yeah.
gently. There's like a really nice crush
Nice.
on there. That's
Okay.
looking really beautiful. And really, all I'm trying to do is get a little bit of a sear. And I don't want to cook it all the way, but I want to
Yeah.
make sure that it's good and edible.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'll probably cook it a little bit longer. Turn down the heat a little bit because the sear is getting a little hot. So
Okay.
what I do is I kind of watch the steak. So when it starts to like get little kind of blood driblets on the outside, it's
Okay.
rare. When it starts kind of dripping out, it's medium.
Oh,
And
interesting.
then when it's like medium well, it'll have like an amber color juices
Okay.
kind of dripping out. And
Yeah.
then well done will have like sort of this clear liquid.
Okay.
Because
okay.
you can, if you think about it, the interior of the steak is going to be that way. So like well done,
makes sense.
it'll be like the juices have become clear. Like all of the blood is kind of gone.
Yep.
Then well, it's like starting to turn a little bit. And then when it's like medium, it's like full like pink.
Yep, that
So
makes perfect sense.
It's just being able to watch it with sight instead of just being able to use a thermometer. Which thermometer also is like a very effective way.
Yeah.
But it kind of pokes a hole in your steak, and so some of the juices can run out.
Yeah.
A little flip again.
Ooh, that looks delicious.
That does not look too bad at all.
No, looks great.
I'm gonna let you start making the tostada. Okay, so these are just fried tortillas.
Okay.
So they're crispy, they're dried out. We're gonna start with a little bit of lime mayo, which we made on our last recipe.
And you
So
want me to put this on?
Yeah, just spread a little bit on top.
Okay.
Spread it out kind of like butter on toast, yeah. Really, I like to have the mayo on there so it like adds a contrast. The same thing that we did for the ceviche. You have this sort of like lean, acidic combination, and then it kind of is broken up with this like really crispy tortilla, a little bit of the mayo to add a little bit of like richness to the dish. Okay, and I'm gonna take this out.
It's out of your way.
And we'll let it rest because we want to get those juices back in. So now we have those mayoized. We're gonna take our steak and slice it. All I'm trying to do is just throw a couple slices on the tostada.
Okay.
You can drizzle on a little bit of this. This is a dried chili salsa. It has like kind of like a sweet, smoky flavor to it.
Oh, it smells delicious.
And I'm just gonna chop up the cilantro really quick. Just give it a nice roll. Sprinkle a little bit of that on. And then we're just gonna add a little of our pickled chilies.
Okay. Perfect. Oh, and it's nice and warm still. I'm gonna just do one
You do
more
as
for
much as
good
you like.
measure.
Right? And then we'll finish with a little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper. And that's it.
Sweet. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming and helping me cook.
Thank you for having me, letting me talk a little bit about terrain, and also just teaching me a little bit about
All
this.
right.
It's been fun.
Let's eat this.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Eat Like a Chef. Thanks for joining us, Ginger. I know you're super busy, so thanks for giving us some time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Adam, for teaching us all the things and giving us some popcorn on our ceviche. You're amazing. Join us next week for another episode of Eat Like a Chef.